Glorious Needlepoint by Kaffe Fassett is probably the first stitching book I fell in love with. Back when I was first getting started, I would go to the library and I would get every book that I could from the Fiber Arts shelf, and I would read them while my daughter had her karate classes, because it was, I think, 2-hour lessons twice a week. I spent a lot of time while that girl was in karate, and yes, I watched every kick for like the first 5 years. And then decided she decided she didn't need me to watch every kick. So by the time this came out, I was spending more time looking at books and a little less time watching every movement. I love this book. It is one of the books that I have on my sewing room bookshelf because it is inspirational eye candy. It is gorgeous. And my favorite needlework project ever is in here. It took me a while to figure out which book I was looking for, but when I found it, I very happily added it to my shelf. There is a lot in here about how the inspiration from his designs comes up. There are patterns. Not every gorgeous thing that you see here has a pattern. So the plums are there. It's divided into sections. I love the lettuce. And I know I have a lettuce pattern for counter cross stitch, so since that calls for DMC, I'm sure I'll do that instead of trying to adapt the lettuce from this one. This is the kind of thing I want to stitch. I dream of stitching this stuff. And I love the way he shows the sketches that inspire it and the finished piece or the partially finished piece in kind of a still life. There is just so much glorious eye candy here. And the sections are just, I'm smitten, guys. I'm trying not to show you the pattern. Here are, need to look and see, that is a marble cone shell. And there is a chart for the shell. This is my second favorite piece in the book. I don't know why every time I see a pattern with a lobster, I want to stitch it. And having both a lobster and a crab, I totally want to stitch it. I just realized for the first time after having this book for a long time, that is a bag. I love it. And I thought the chart was in here, but maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong. The chart is not in there. But the chicken is there. And he shows the needlepoint chicken and the illustration that inspired the needlepoint chicken. So I love seeing how he gets from point A to point B. There's stuffed duck pillows. If those were chickens, I would be stitching them now. I'm a little tiny bit less obsessive about the ducks. There is a basket of eggs. That pattern is not in the book. You would think after flipping through this morning that I would remember what was and was not in the book. This little Delft, what does he call it? He calls it a table mat, and the pattern, it is shaped like a plate. It's round. I love it. I love most of what is in this book. Can I live a very, very long life so I will have time to stitch all the things that I want to stitch. And look at, here's another fantastic bag. This one does have a pattern. A lot of these needlepoint books are full of fantastic eye candy, but not everything you see is in the book. So if there is something that you love and want to stitch, make sure that you check out that it's in the book before you go buying the book so you can avoid disappointment. This is the thing that when I first saw it, it blew me away. Look at that couch. Look at how that couch is stitched to look like stones and moss and leaves. And yes, I do know the reality is that I would never, ever, but I can want to. I can look at it and I can drool over it and I can take inspiration from it. And I think that is just fine. The faces. This one is in the book with a pattern. The stone face, sadly, is not, because I love the shading on that thing. But I can wish it was in the book. The Buddha is in the book. And this makes my heart go pity-pat. This makes me want to learn to play with color and draw things and make these things. And I mean, just look, they're pillows. Look at how amazing and awesome, and all the everything. I would love to have those in my life. No pattern in the book, sadly. Also, this tile piece, that is needlepoint, interpreting tile. Remember how I said this was inspirational eye candy? Are you starting to see why I consider it to be inspirational eye candy? I just want to step into one of these rooms and hang out there. And I have other needlepoint books on my shelf that I love almost as much, but this one, because it has that couch, is probably always going to be my absolute favorite. I love how he just kind of makes you feel like you could do this if you had the optimism and the energy. And I mean, it's not even needlepoint, but look at that cat rug. Look at how awesome that is. If I had to purge my bookshelf and make the books fit on a smaller shelf, this is absolutely one of the books I would be keeping. Kaffe Fassett has lots of books I bought. I can't remember. Oh, Glorious Color, I think, is the one I bought by accident because I thought it was the book with the couch, but it wasn't. But I don't regret it because it's full of gorgeous things too. Let me know. Do you yearn to make things like this? Do you yearn to make pretty, gorgeous, colorful projects like this like I do? Or do you think I am absolutely out of my mind? Do you keep books on your bookshelf just because looking through them makes you giddy? I'm Michelle. This is my Romantic Tangle. I've got a whole playlist of books from my sewing room bookshelf, some of which are practical and some of them which are just fabulous, feel-good eye candy. I'll be back with you with more videos soon. Let me know, have you ever done anything this ambitious? Talk me into tackling one.